Okay, v'harei mita, a bed. The yeshba kamer groifim is very wide and therefore should be an oil. And if it's an oil, then it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem of sukkah utanan, and we learned in our Mishnah in the beginning of the Perek. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer kama. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Noegema yinu kama." We had the minhag yinu yishenim tachas hamita, that we would sleep in front under the bed. B'fnei as a kanim, in front of his kanim, question mark, because he was implying that it's okay to sleep under the bed. Why is it okay to sleep under the bed? Harei, a mittah is a good oil, and if a mittah is a good oil, then he's sleeping in the mittah's oil, not in the sukkah's oil, and therefore it should be a problem. Answers the Gemara, Shani Mita, bed's different. Hoil, sint, or legaba asuya, it's made for on top of it, full stop. This is saying that the reason why a bed is not going to be considered an oil to block the sukkah is because a bed's not made to be underneath it, a bed's made to be on top of it, and therefore its usage is for on top, not for underneath. So, what, the big bunk beds? Yeah. So the Gemara is going to say a different example, not as good as that one, because that one might be too good, that the Gemara won't work. But anyway.
I've got a different question. Since when does the fact that it's not used factor into whether it's an oil?
Well, apparently it does. That's what the Gemara is now telling us, that because it's not made for underneath, so just like you understand.
When do you use the indentation of a rock as an oil?
Yeah.
It just exists.
Right, that's true. It's not made.
It's not interest. No. There's a hole. It becomes a property. Yeah.
No, but the hole over there is not made for on top. It's just a hole, and therefore it is a roof. Here, this bed is not made for. It's positively made for on top and not underneath.
I'm also struggling on that because, for example, on a sukkah as chach, you've got to use something that's not makabel to
Right, that's 100%.
So anything that a bed is makabel to,
so it won't be
made into anything.
Right, 100%.
Branches.
1 second, carry on. He's not finished his question.
No, yeah. So that's why it's very interesting. In this case, he's saying because the bed is only made for being
Right, so that's what we said right at the beginning of the Gemara, that being under bed is not actually a problem because there's something in between you and the schach. That we don't mind. There can be something between you and the schach. The problem is only if that itself is considered a roof. If it's not a roof and it's just anything in the way, it doesn't block you. You're still considered in the sukkah. You happen to have something.
Like what's it called? Decoration.
Exactly. Decoration not a problem. You're still in the sukkah, and that's called sleeping in the sukkah. It's only if we consider the bed its own oil, its own enclosure, then you're not considered an enclosure of the sukkah. You're now considered a separate enclosure. And therefore, since this bed is number one made for on top of it, or if it would be too low or something like that. For example, the Gemara right at the beginning said that if it's not 10 tefachim high, then it's not called a good oil. If what? Yes, that's what Rabbi Yehuda said, that you're allowed to sleep under the bed because it's not considered its own oil. Good evening. Okay, let's hope it's some inspiration here. Let's go. So now we're up to Shvarim Nami. Shvarim Nami. We said in this Mishnah in Parah that according to Rabbi Yehuda, an ox, a show, is going to be oil to stop the tumah going up. Yeah, so the child sits on top of the show, and because the show is considered the oil, therefore the tumah will not go to the child. So ask the Gemara, Shvarim Nami legabon asoyin question mark. A show, an ox, is made to be used for on top of it. You use it for the loading it or for different kinds of work in the field. It's not made for being underneath it. So why does Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah in Parah consider an ox a good oil to stop the tumah going up? Ki asa Ravin and Ravin Cain, Amar Rebbe Laza, said the name of Rebbe Laza, comma. Shani Shvarim, comma. Shvarim are different. Hoil, sint, or meginim, they shield or they shelter, ala royim, on top of the shepherds, b'chama, in the sun, when it's sunny, or v'gshamim, and from rain, when it's raining, full stop. And therefore, an ox is considered also got usage underneath it because the shepherds sit underneath it to stop the sun, to shade themselves from the sun, and to shelter from the rain. Ask the Gemara, Iyachi mitanami, this is a similar example to what you said, Shemi. Iyachi mitanami, a bed also, hoyel sint, or magina, it shields, al min olim v'sandlim shetachtea, question mark. A bed is also made for underneath usage. We put our shoes underneath it. The Gemara says that a person should put his shoes underneath the bed, not food, because food gets a ruach ra, gets a bad thing from being under the bed. But shoes are meant to be under the bed, and therefore asks the Gemara.
Why is a bunk bed allowed?
In a sukkah?
No, generally. If there's a ruach ra on the bed, why can the soul?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
question?
Raw under a bed. Bunk bed.
For about
So how can you sleep under a bunk bed?
you can't have food on. So you wash your hands. You think about it.
No. But I think this ruch. I don't know. Maybe you're not allowed. Maybe you're not allowed food. Maybe a person's got no problem with ruch. Exactly. Maybe only food is a problem. Maybe you shouldn't put food on their bunk bed.
So the guy on his bed can't eat.
Yeah, basically that is like
No, because
mine.
That won't work for me.
Yeah, I mean,
So don't sleep on a bunk bed. I don't know if it's a problem. I'm not sure. I don't know how it works. Anyway, so to ask the Gemara, a bed is also made for the usage underneath it because you put your shoes there. Yeah, so ihachi, if so, that usage underneath makes it into oil. Mitanami, a bed also. Hoyel megina ala min olim v'sandalim, since it shields on the min olim, the shoes, v'sandalim and boots. Shetachteo, under it, question mark. And therefore, why is the bed not considered the oil that you're allowed to sleep under it in the sukkah? Ela Amarava, says Rava, a whole new teretz. The reason why shvarim are good, shiny shvarim, shvarim are different. Hoyel, since vasuyim, they are made lahagin al b'nei ma'ayim shelahen. It's not just you've got a side usage in a show that the shepherds used it. The main usage of the animal's limbs are to be as a shield al b'nei ma'ayim shalem on the innards of the animal. The stomach, the kishkas are guarded by the bones, and therefore these bones are considered, the main usage of the bones are to be as a shield. And since the main usage of the bones are there to be as a shield, it's a good oil. Shenerma, we're in a posuk to prove this point. Open quotation. A posuk says, "Oir, skin, or basa, and meat. Talbi sheni. Iyar is saying to Ribono Shel Olam, dress me with oir, skin, and basa.Ovat tzamos, and with bones, vigidim, and sinews, to soichicheni, shield me." Which is to say that the bones and the sinews of a person and of an animal are there to be as a shield for the innards of it, and therefore that's why when you go underneath, when you've got a shora ox, it's a good oil because the actual animal's body is made in a way that it shields on the inside of the animal. So you've got the top of the animal shielding the inside of the animal, and therefore it's a good oil, full stop. So that's teretz number one. The difference between a bed, why a bed is not considered the oil in a sukkah, and a shor is considered the oil to stop the tumah going to the child, is because a bed is not made to be used underneath. The main usage of a bed is for on top of it. However, a shor, because its bones and sinews are made to guard and to shield the innards of the behemoth, therefore its main usage is to be as a shield, and therefore it will be considered the oil and stop the tumah going up to the child. The Ibai is saying, and now we're saying a whole new territory. I don't know if we've done this yet. Have we done this yet? Yeah. Okay, so it's still chazara. We didn't do it properly. Yeah, we did do it. The Ibai is saying a whole new territory. Now you can put as a footnote. Really, Reb Yehuda holds a mittah is yes a oil. It will be considered the oil. V'ibai same on the V'ibai same. V'ibai same. This answer is now going with the fact that Rabbi Yehuda will hold a mittah, a bed, is yes considered an oil. However, you want a pencil? Oh, okay. Doesn't work anyway. That a bed is yes a oil. However, the reason why a bed's not a problem is because Rabbi Yehuda l'tamei. Rabbi Yehuda goes according to what he holds.
what does he hold?
The Amma. Yes, Rabbi Yehuda l'tamei kama. Rabbi Yehuda goes according to what he holds. The Amma, that he said, a sukkah, diras keva ba'inon kama. A sukkah should be your permanent residence. Means the actual sukkah should be made in a permanent way. The havale mittah, and the bed will be diras arai. It'll be a not fixed dira. What's the word for arai? A temporary, thank you. A temporary dira. So you've got here the bed, which is a temporary roof, a temporary oil. The sukkah, and the sukkah on top of it is the oil keva, is the fixed, is a permanent oil, comma. Therefore, the loy osi oil arai, therefore the oil arai, the bed, which is only a not fixed oil, will come and umavatel oil kva. Yeah, 100%. But on sukkahs, when you're trying to be sleeping in the sukkah, you're sleeping now under a bed which is not considered a permanent place because it's a movable object. And the sukkah, Rabbi Yehuda's holds, we don't hold like that. Chachamim don't hold that. Rabbi Yehuda's shitta is, a few man amrim, the Gemara says, hold, that Rabbi Yehuda holds, you meant to make your sukkah fixed. For example, Rabbi Yehuda holds you can have your sukkah 20 amos high. Chachamim hold you can't. Chachamim say, if you're going to make your sukkah 20 amos high, you're going to have to make it pretty strong. And if you make it strong, then it's not going to be oil ara, it'll be oil kavua. And we just said, what's the problem? It's meant to be a fixed, permanent thing, and therefore you can make it very high and very strong. So since, according to Rabbi Yehuda, a sukkah is meant to be kavua, so imagine a person who's in number one oil ara, and on top of that is oil keva. Where you consider this person is, we consider him in the oil keva, not in the oil arai. We won't see him in that place of the oil arai. And therefore, loy osi oil arai, the oil arai of the bed won't come umavatl and cancel out the oil keva of the sukkah. Full stop. That is the end of the Gemara. The second reason why there's no problem sleeping under the bed, even though it is oil, is because the oil of a mitta is only arai, and the oil of the sukkah is keva. Now we've got a new Gemara. I don't know. I'm not sure if you can make oil. I'm not sure if the reason of a bed is because it's movable. The way it sounds like the reason why a mitta's oil arai is because it's movable, and if you bolt it into the floor, then it'll also be oil keva. Or it's just the actual being of a bed is not, because the way it's made is to be moved around. And even if you've fixed it into the ground, it'll still stay oil arai. I'm not sure. It sounds like the reason why a bed is oil arai is only because it is moved around. That what? Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if it means because practically you can now move it around, or because in general it's made to be moved around. That's what I'm saying. So he's got a good point. If it's because it now can be moved around, then if you bolt it into the ground, then you are not allowed to sleep on, according to this teretz. It's made to move around, and even if you bolt it into the ground, you're saying. What happens? You mean that's just not what it's used to.
Move around, but you fix it to the ground before you sleep on it.
Yeah, but that could be that you're meant to. Here, you're not meant to fix a bed into the ground. So if you practically have gone and done that, that doesn't make it into a fixed oil.
If you made the bed, you actually made the bed with intentions of doing that. If you built out
No, but I'm just saying, in general, what is a bed meant to be?
Bed, which is built into the ground, which now that's that bed.
So that will definitely be oil kavod, because you've just made the oil concrete into a bed. It's not really a bed. Great, so here's the next Gemara. The Gemara is going to ask a question. How can you say that oil arai, according to Reb Yehuda, that the reason why there's no problem with sleeping under the bed is because a bed is only oil arai and the sukkah is meant to be keva? V'hareb Shimon. Reb Shimon holds the Amma Kama. Reb Shimon also says, Reb Shimon the Amma Nami Kama. Reb Shimon also says, Sukkah diras keva be'inon. In that list of people who hold that a sukkah is meant to be a fixed, permanent place, the other man who holds that is Reb Shimon. And we know Reb Shimon said in our Mishnah, Reb Shimon was the one who brought the story and said that you're not allowed to sleep under the bed in the sukkah. Yeah, do you remember in the Mishnah it said, Amar Reb Shimon, Ma'aseh b'tavi avdei Gamliel, which was implying from the story that you're not allowed to sleep under the bed. Now, if the reason why Reb Yehuda holds you are allowed to sleep under the bed is because a bed is only it's only a oil arai, it's not a permanent. That could be one pshat. Well, Gemara is going to say something similar. Reb Shimon da'amanami. Reb Shimon also says sukkahs diras keva be'inon, and it's still he says you're not allowed to sleep under the bed. Why? Because osi oil arai, the bed which is only a oil arai comes umavatal and it cancels out the oil keva, the fixed permanent place of the sukkah question mark. So why does he hold that? Says the Gemara. Answers the Gemara, Bahar Pligi Kama. This is what they argue about. Reb Yehuda and Reb Shimon argue about this point. Ma'asava, one man that holds Kama, Reb Shimon holds Osi oil arai umavatal oil keva. Even though the bed's only oil arai and the sukkah is oil keva, fixed permanent place, still it's a problem to sleep under the oil arai in oil keva. Or Ma'asava and Reb Yehuda holds Kama, Loi Osi oil arai will not come umavatal and cancel out oil keva, the fixed permanent place of the sukkah. So that is the end. I think we should just do the next Gemara, and we'll do a good Chazar another time. Yeah, because
I'm just wondering why does it matter if it's oil arai or oil keva?
Because if you're in oil keva, then you're definitely not in the top oil keva because you're in the bottom oil keva.
No, but oil's oil. If there's a separation, that's all that matters, right?
I know, but because this is only non-permanent, it's not there. It's not there for a long. It's a weak oil compared to the oil keva. So when I want to know where are you considered, you're considered that you are residing in the oil keva, in the fixed one, because that's like the main sukkah. Yeah, that makes sense? Half makes sense. Okay, we'll think about it. Let's just finish the next Gemara to the Mishnah. Easy Gemara. Let's go. Amar Reb Shimon Ma'aseh b'tavi avdei. Yes, we're referring back now to the Mishnah that Reb Shimon said, that there was a story with a servant. So do you remember, you weren't really here for the Mishnah, so I'll just say it over quickly. Reb Shimon said that the Tavi, the servant of Reb Gamliel, he slept under the bed, and Reb Gamliel said to the Chachamim around the table, look at my servant, he's a Talmud Chacham. He knows that because he's an Eved and he's potter from Sukkah, that's why he's sleeping under his bed, which was meant to imply from there that had he been Chayiv in Sukkah, then you can't sleep under the bed, right? But what he was saying, it wasn't to teach any halacha. He was just making a side joke, shall we call it, and saying, look at my Evet, he's a Talmud Chacham. So says the Gemara.
Yeah, but why? It's very nice to say that. That doesn't mean much, though.
That what?
Don't use that as a proof that he's a Talmud Chacham, and he knows, because he doesn't have to care about it.
Who doesn't have to care? Evet, the Evet.
Because he's an Eved, he doesn't need to go under the bed, so even without being a Talmud Chacham and knowing that if he sleeps under the bed, he could have just chosen to anyway be under the bed.
No, but if he's
Because
Chayiv
out of
b'Sukkah.
ignorance.
Okay, but that's what he's saying, that he's a Talmud Chacham and he knows that he's potter. That's exactly what he's trying to imply, that he's not doing it there because he doesn't know the halacha, it's because he knows the halacha. That's exactly what he's implying, that he knows the halacha and he's doing it because he knows the halacha. So anyway, Tanya, we've got here Brisa. Amar Reb Shimon, says Reb Shimon, Misichosoi Shereb Gamliel Lamando. From the chat, from the Sichosoi, from the chatting of Reb Gamliel, Lamadno, we have learned, Shnei Devarim. Lamadno, we learned number one, Shavodim Peturim in Sukkah, the first thing we learn from Gamliel is what we learned in our Mishnah, that Avodim are potter from Sukkah, which we said, you can put as a footnote again, the reason why Avodim are potter from Sukkah is because they will learn out from Xeris HaKosov, Xeris Shava, the same as women, and women are potter from Sukkah because it's mitzvah says has man groma. Shnei Dvarim, two things. Lamadno, we have learned. Number one, Lamadno, we have learned. Avodim Peturim in Sukkah, that Avodim are potter from Sukkah. V'lamadno, and the second thing we have learned, Shahayoshan Tachas Amuta, someone who sleeps under a bed, Lo Yotza Yedei Chayvasai, he's not Yotza his Chiyuv, which we explained from in the Mishnah, from the fact that he said that Avodim are potter from Sukkah, that's why it was okay for him to sleep under the bed, but which implies that if he would be Chayiv b'Sukkah, it wouldn't be okay for him to sleep under the bed. Question. Ask the Gemara a question. Velema, why didn't the Brisa say midvarav Sherem Gamliel? If you look in the Brisa, it said misichosoi. The difference, does anyone know the difference between sicha and dvarov? Sicha is like chatting. It's like, but it's like joking more. And dvarov is when someone gives a shir, he's speaking. And sicha is more like easy speech. You know, not official speaking. So why does ask the Gemara? Velema, we should say midvarav Sherem Gamliel from what Gamliel said? Question mark. Says the Gemara, we're teaching you a thing. Milsav agav urche kamash malon. We're trying to tell you, by the way, a chiddush. Kiha the Amar of Acha Ba'ada. Like this, the Rav Acha Ba'ada said, comma. Va'amrila, and some say, Amar of Acha Ba'ada, Amar of Humnuna Amarav. And some say it was of Acha Ba'ada in the name of Humnuna in the name of Rav. Minayim, how do we know? Shafilo sichas Talmud Chachamim. Even the chatterai of Talmidei Chachamim. Tzricha limud, you're meant to learn out from what they're chatting about. Not only when they give a drosh, you have to listen, but even when they're just schmoozing, you should listen into them and you'll learn things from them. Shenema, this is a pasuk right at the beginning of Tehillim, the first Perek of Tehillim. The pasuk starts off, the Perek starts off, Ashrei ish asher halach ba'atzis Hashem, over there chatoim le'amad. Yeah, so this is talking about Talmidei Chachamim who go in the atzis Hashem, they go in the ways of Hashem. And it says in the pasuk, "V'haya ka'etz shasol al pal gemayim," will be like a tree which grows on the riverbed. Asher pira yitam itah, he'll give good fruit. Va'aleho, the aleho is the leaves. So here, open quotation. Va'aleho, and the leaves, lo yibel, won't wither, which is to say that the leaves are not the main part of a tree. Yeah, the fruit's the main part of a tree. The leaves are just there as side things. And still, a Talmud Chacham, even his side things, the leaves of him, lo yibel, are not withered. They're strong. And from here we learn that even when you just see a Talmud Chacham just schmoozing, you should listen into him, because from there you will learn lots of things. Beautiful.